I guess this is Tuesday, so it's day 2 of our big quarantine thing, I guess, or not that it's really a quarantine, I guess. Social distancing is how we're putting it. So that's good that that's happening. I did actually bop out for a little bit this morning and drive around, so it did look a bit more sparse out there. If you haven't been out, do know that everybody seems to be keeping their distance from each other, at least in town. So that's good. Let's see here. There were a few things that happened since yesterday. Obviously, there was the select board meeting that happened last night. That's been streamed in a couple different places. I have it on my personal Facebook. I had a problem with the stream itself, so I wasn't able to get it up, and still sort of messing around with this simulcast thing, which is a little tricky, which leads me into another point that I'll get to in a minute. But I wasn't able to stream like directly to our YouTube. It's a personal video. I have to figure out how to try and get it off Facebook if I want to get it up on our channel, which is something I'm working on, but it could take me a second. It's just with everything that's going on right now, this is crazy. There's a lot of folks that, are reaching out, trying to make things happen. And it's it's wild right now. So, okay. Let's start with Governor Sununu basically made an announcement this morning, and I'll just throw this up. This is from the Sentinel. So here's the measures that he's stating. So we've got electric, gas, water, telephone, internet, and fuel service providers cannot disconnect or discontinue service to customers for non-payment. Landlords cannot start eviction proceedings for people unable to pay. Foreclosure actions will also be prohibited. People who are unable to work or have reduced hours due to COVID-19 pandemic, people who are told or need to self-quarantine, people who need to care for a child because of a school or daycare closures, and self-employed people who are unable to operate their business due to any of those factors will have immediate access to unemployment benefits. Okay. So, interesting. Considering that's imagine if we didn't have a crazy military budget and we could just do this for people all the time. At any rate, these are actual measures, and I think this is what everybody's really been waiting to see, what we've all been anxious about. Finding out, how are we going to make our rent payments? How are we going to make our mortgage payments? How are we going to keep the utilities running when not none of us, but a lot of us can't collect paychecks? It's a huge issue. This is serious relief. I'm not going to get into the electoral stuff about it now, although that's a separate conversation that could be had later. The important thing to understand is that this is the newest measure. He said that he doesn't want more than 50 people gathering in any one location. So that's in state. We're taking a lot of the appropriate measures to deal with this problem right now, which is good news. And so what I want to do is I want to sort of give everyone an idea of where we're at in terms of cases. I'm going to throw this piece up. This is from In-Depth New Hampshire. So here is a map of the counties in New Hampshire, and it shows you the number of cases per county right now. So obviously you can see the majority are in Rockingham County. We do have one case in Hillsborough County, which is where Peterborough and the Monadnock region, broadly speaking, with the exception of Cheshire, is at. But it's only in Nashua. Outside of there, there's no reported cases as of yet. So we'll find out but we don't have any, like I said, don't have any reported cases outside of Nashua yet, so there's not quite a reason to panic there yet. And if everybody's taking the appropriate precautions, obviously we'll see what happens. And I'll try and pull up some clips from last night so that we can go over what everybody said. I didn't really, last night was not a great time for me to cut in on it, and I just wanted to let it run, and now we can discuss it a little bit more. But at any rate, the most important thing here is to note that we don't have any cases reported yet in the rest of Hillsborough County. That's not at all a reason to think everything's cool and we can just go about our regular business. We need to obviously continue to social distance for at least 2 weeks, at least, probably a lot more than that. There's still conflicting opinion about exactly how long everything needs to be stopped for, and that's also a function of not knowing how many cases there actually are. So it's, you talk about a 14-day incubation period with no symptoms where you're still contagious. I mean, that's serious. So we have to deal with what that's going to look like. And in all likelihood, there is more than one case in Hillsborough County. We just don't know where they're at. So just act like that's how it's going down, because if we do, then this doesn't become a problem ultimately. It's, if in 2-3 months we're saying we overreacted, then we know it worked. But honestly, you have reports from international countries sending Americans back and telling their people to not go to countries with poor infrastructure like the United States. So that doesn't bode well for us, and this is a very late reaction to the problem. So I think it's probably worth just zooming out and looking at the country at large. So here's this. This is from NPR right now. I believe this updates live, so you can go and check on it. By the way, I will get all of the links in the description of this stream. So if you want to check in on any of these articles that I'm putting up here, pop in the description, head over there. So right now, based off of this map, we only have reported deaths in 3 states: Washington, California, and New York. They have a lot more cases there. Obviously, 904, 967 in Washington and New York, respectively, with another 557 cases in California. Washington is obviously dealing with the worst of it. They've had 48 deaths there, so that's concerning. But if you sort of hop down into the actual numbers here, look at New Hampshire. I mean, we're seeing right now New Hampshire has 17 reported cases and no deaths, which is good news. We want to keep it that way. It's, there's not a whole lot to say beyond just, stay inside. Try not to go out. I know people are going a little bit stir crazy. And to that end, I mean, I suppose I'll get into this a little bit right now. After I cap off this stream, something that I'm going to do is I'm going to record separately a video on how I do these streams. It's not going to help anybody with their conferencing or anything like that. I can't do, that's not how I operate over here. But what I can do is I can show folks the software I use, how I have my stuff set up, so that it's easier for folks to do live streams just like this if they want to. This is going to be a primary way that folks earn money, particularly people who are creative or, in the music industry, stuff like that. Um, this is how everybody's going to be sort of earning right now, and it's also, how we're all going to get together and have fun. Um, because we can't just, we can't all just go out and see each other anymore. We have to stay behind our screens, which is a drag. At any rate, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, like, if you have something cool that you want to do, or you want to show, you want to do a demo for people, you want to, mess around on the internet and whatever, this is going to be a way for you to broadcast it to people. So I'm going to I'll do a tutorial on that. And yeah, I'll just show everyone how I've got this all set up. It'll be different for everyone. I'll show you the stuff that you would need to get, depending on what you have available to you. Most people, they have a webcam built right into their computer, so it makes it pretty easy. And I'm also, this isn't the same thing as doing like just a quick Facebook live stream. This is about showing, stuff that you do in a program. So, if you want to just do tutorials where you're grabbing the screen and you've got a little video, I'll show you, if you want to do games, if you want to like stream a game, if you want to try getting into that, I can talk about that a little bit. So it's sort of compiling digital content for a stream. I'll make a video about that. I'm going to try and link that up with Max Makerspace, because they are also trying to get information out to their people right now. They're one of the better resources in the community here for stuff like this, especially at a time like this. So that's going to be key. And, I think we all got to work together here. And that's that's the best I can say about it right now in terms of getting through this. So, right. Okay. Moving on. Let's see here. There were a few different things that I wanted to sort of go over here. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, we can go over this right now. So there is a spreadsheet that's been posted to there's a network that I saw, like a private Facebook group that I saw that had it posted in there, but I've got it up here. I'll show it. This looks like it's a list of businesses people are going to be adding to it. Hopefully this can be a central point for people to get information on what they can get out of local businesses in the area. A lot of people are switching to a takeout, like a delivery and curbside pickup model. So I just saw a post from Thai Cafe here. Let's see. Okay. Let's see if I can pop this thing up here for you. And again, this is one of those things where now that I'm back into the live stream like this, there's going to be these dead spots where I can't I can't edit myself this time and cut out all the malarkey, as Mr. Biden would put it. I can't just, I can't just yank that stuff off. So it's it's a pain, but we'll get there. We'll get to it. I'm also trying to work on just being more personable in that way, so that it's not so painful. Wow. and you run into weird stuff where, um, different software is going to give you different problems, and that's something I'm facing right now. Right. Okay. Let me just throw this spreadsheet up. So here's that spreadsheet. Right now, we only really have Roy's and Aesop's on there, which is, it's the list is gonna have to develop. Again, I'm gonna throw this in the comments so people can keep up to date with this. I'm also gonna try and inquire with the person who is the keeper of this spreadsheet to please make it public so people can add to it. I don't know, somebody's gonna have to be in there and auditing it, obviously, to make sure that people aren't just posting nonsense, and this can't become a free for all. And there's something to be said for I think folks probably would do well to take some time to sorry about this. Make sure to take time to listen to folks. And just think everything through a little bit first too. It's concerning when people kind of like everybody wants to help, and that's great. Okay. But we also have to remember that sometimes the effort to help could make things worse. So obviously, you know, if you want to get involved with something, definitely check and see if they even need help first. So like a spreadsheet like this, somebody may want to keep close control over it, in which case we just have to hope that they stay up to date with it, and I'll get into it there. So at any rate, there's that. Let me see here. Got pull up the Thai Cafe thing. Here we go. Okay. Here's your Thai Cafe announcement. And this is a pretty this is a pretty standard message around town right now that I'm seeing. I did see in a comment thread that, if you want to use the library's Wi-Fi, they have the password slapped up in the window facing the parking lot, so you can read it off there. You can log on, you can grab Wi-Fi that way. Conval had reported they had 45 students who don't have access to internet, and they're trying to work that out. I think that was the number that had been. Oops. There's Thai Cafe. Not sure if that was up a minute ago, but we'll get this up right now just for a second so everybody can read it again. If I didn't let that hang long enough. And while I'm doing that, so here's your message about Thai Cafe. If you want to read this more, you can check out their personal Facebook page, or their business page. Here's the Ledger transcript article from Abby Hamilton about public school closures. And this I was working on something. This is a bit more. This covers a bit more of the whole Monadnock region. So this is good. I think I had spoken to some students, and they had mentioned that this right here, that they were ready on Friday. I think a lot of students might disagree with that. That they to my understanding, I spoke with someone who was there on Friday, and she told me that they said there was going to be an announcement later in the day. They didn't give the announcement until later in the day. they basically told everybody to bring home their Chromebooks, that they would find out more from their teachers on Tuesday today. So hopefully I'm going to try and get some updates on that and get back to it um, tomorrow or Thursday, depending on how things shake out. I'm not really sure when I'll be able to do the next stream, but obviously this is happening a lot more regularly now. Um, so hopefully we can have some more information. Obviously, if you're a parent, you're probably going to know first. So this isn't, I'm not bringing you any information that you don't already know. This is probably going to be more for people who are curious and care about what's going on with the schools and how this is all playing out, that might not know. So at any rate, it's a good thing that teachers feel confident about this. I know that they were, it says here that the teachers at Conval were basically working on, they spending yesterday and today to work on video conferencing and the online protocol, which is good. So that's probably why students will hear from their teachers today about exactly how things are going to roll out. It's going to be tricky. Everybody's going to need to be just really patient about it. It's going to be tough to keep that constant level of engagement that you would have if you had students in a classroom. Speaking from firsthand experience, it's, for me, it's always been way easier to stay on task if I'm in a room. Now that's anecdotal and subjective, so I wouldn't take that take that with a grain of salt. Because there's a lot of good learning environments. And it sounds like they had been wanting to explore this stuff more. And one thing that I think maybe we'll find out about long term on this is, I think people might start to understand just how little you need to make people be on site in order to get things done. Maybe not. Maybe that won't happen. We'll see. But really, come on. We could do a lot of this stuff through email and from home. We don't need to, it's my hope, this is obviously terrible that this is happening, and this is going to be a huge pain and inconvenience for everybody for a while, the foreseeable future. My hope is that we're also able to learn a little bit from this and say, maybe we can change our expectations or understanding of what work is throughout the day, what we demand of workers. Maybe we'll start to gain a lot more societal respect for the service industry workers that either lost their jobs just now, were laid off, have to wait an indefinite amount of time and go without pay until their place of business opens back up. I mean, the people that are still at work, who are still going to grocery stores and stocking the shelves and just basically saying, yeah, I mean, when it hits, I'm going to get it. You're just accepting it. That's, that's something that we all probably need to generally be more respectful and mindful of. And I would say pay people who do those jobs more, obviously, because now that we are in this situation, it's really interesting how just everybody is immediately seeing exactly what we need right off the bat, what kind of services we need to offer, what kind of assistance we need to provide. There's going to be a blood drive. Let's see here. I'm trying to find where that was. Let me pop back out of this here just so that I can pull this thing up. And we do, I also have, we've got the Senate is over here debating right now about, they're debating, the aid package that's coming through right now that the House just passed, which, interestingly enough, Republicans are attacking the Democrats from the left on this, saying they're not going far enough to make sure that they're getting cash into the hands of working people who really need it, which is just going to be, that's electorally speaking going to be really, really painful for Democrats. This is really shaking things up a lot. So that's something that I will get back into. Let's see. Let's see here. Yep, we've got Ava Marie Chocolate. They're going to be delivering locally. Actually, let me. I'm going to have to. All right. Well, just because I've got a private Facebook page up right now, I don't want to just like be showing everybody my personal Facebook page at the moment. Mainly because I mean I can crop this out, but frankly I don't want to have to put people's names on blast if they don't want to have it be broadcast on the internet like this. But I'm gonna read some stuff off here. So we do have Ava Marie's will deliver locally. See, the health and well-being of our community customers and employees is our first priority. We know that chocolate can help soothe the mind, body, and soul during these times of unrest and uncertainty. If you need chocolate and live within a 10-mile radius of our Grove Street, Peterborough, New Hampshire location, we are offering next-day free delivery. Shipping is still available for all our other orders. Please place orders online. So that is available. Monadnock oil and vinegar. Also, no refills, but refill prices and curbside pickup available. Let's see here. Let's see. Monadnock Center for Violence Prevention is they have some advice here for helping with anxiety, dealing with this time. Take deep breaths, go on a walk, take a nap, talk with someone you trust, even if therapists, if they have call-in options. Yoga or meditation. Many local studios are posting free videos online. Again, this tutorial video that I'm going to give, hopefully that helps people get set up if they want to do more expansive streaming stuff. So definitely check that kind of stuff out. And then the last one they had is pick a color and name all the objects in the room that you see there. That color. Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. Maybe that'll help you deal with anxiety. It definitely does help some people to do stuff like that. Not everybody, but at least it's out there and they're trying to help. They are saying that they have advocates available on their crisis line 603-352-3782. So you can get in touch if you're having problems with your anxiety. Especially if you're in an unsafe living situation. So there's some notification from that. We said yesterday, free delivery from Pearl and Bantam. Let's see here. I'm just going to kind of put up the town website for a minute. All right, so they are staying up to date. And I mean, and obviously a lot of this stuff probably isn't being collected right now anyways. Everything's pretty much by appointment. Everybody wants you to call or email. Library is closed for in-person visits. Again, doing curbside stuff. So get in touch with them. Absolutely get in touch with the library if you need access to stuff. You can't go inside the building, I'm sure, but you can absolutely still get resources that you need from there, which is it's the people in charge of the town right now are really, really putting in the super necessary effort um, to make sure that we're all staying safe and we don't skip a beat in all this. And I mean, the local business side of stuff is just really like awesome. Everybody's really staying on it. There's been a lot of talk about go out and buy gift certificates and then forget you got them, to help keep those businesses alive right now, because they, for a restaurant to shut down for 2 weeks, I mean that would kill most restaurants. Um, it's no good. It's absolutely no good. Um, so, whoop, all right, yeah. So at any rate, I think it certainly it certainly causes a lot of anxiety to deal with this situation. There's no doubt about that. Um, but just stay connected with folks. Take a cue from the kids these days who will watch movies together from their own houses and just talk on the phone. This is like it's it's funny because it's so the right thing to do in many ways is baked into the way people are already starting to behave anyways in terms of that social distancing, even though we've like as a culture been trying really hard to control that and keep it together, and not let ourselves just become so distanced from each other but at this point, honestly, it's like a really great thing that we're sort of practiced in this, or that there's a lot of us that are practiced in this. um and I think something, like it's helpful at this point for us to be doing this, and it's something I think we're kind of already sort of like this here anyways. I mean, I know a lot of people like to give each other hugs, people that care about each other. Obviously, folks are really um folks are really affectionate here, and that's a great thing. I'm not I don't want to suggest that we're all a bunch of cold distance people, but everybody here is also really good about respecting each other's space. And I think for us all to just think, okay, what am I putting my hands on, and then I touch my face? I think if we add that to the mix, I see Peterborough as a community being able to weather this a lot better than, say, um, I don't know, a major metropolitan area. You know what I mean? That's especially Nashua. It's risky. I mean, like, it's just hard to control the amount of traffic in and out. I mean, fortunately, we've got like now that Sununu's issued a ban, it's a totally different situation. If we've got no more than 50 people gathering in a location at a given time, we're doing the right stuff. So, okay. Let's see here. Got I mean, you've got we've got here's a notice from Gene Shaheen's office. Um, Top priority ensuring Granite Staters and people across the country are staying healthy. To that end, campaign has postponed in-person campaign events and fundraisers in the weeks ahead. Still asking for money. Still asking for that step up with $3 or whatever you can to protect New Hampshire's Senate seat and help us with okay. Um, you know, it never stops. The politics never ever stop. Ever, ever. Um, and this is fairly consistent all over Twitter right now. It's like we've got let's see here. Yeah, all right. So, here's I know a lot of folks don't go on Twitter too much, so I'll take a second and just kind of like do the New Hampshire politics Twitter beat for what it's worth. So, WMUR here, they've got breakfast and lunches distributed by school buses. When Blankenbecker is postponing in-person events. Corky Messner is supporting Rand Paul for moving the IRS tax deadline to July 15th, waive of interest, fees for late payments, all that stuff. So, I mean, and this is like, right now we will probably see a super big shift to we're gonna see an interesting like movement amongst conservatives and to take this really like populist stand and to be coming at the Democrats from their left, which is interesting. It's I think it's really bizarre. That I think it's really bizarre that this is happening at this particular moment. In a way, it's not really that surprising that it's happening. Just in the way that politics have shifted over the years. And I'm sorry if I seem distracted. I'm trying to set up a new scene right now that allows me to sort of put these things up a little bit better so that I'm not this tiny little screen on the side. Yeah, it's oh, there we go. Okay. So it's a little silly. It's a little silly how this is happening. You know, this is like, guys, this is left stuff. Um this is left-wing stuff. This is, I think I said it on yesterday's stream, but honestly, like, you get into this situation and everybody's a socialist. Um, when it really goes to hell like this, excuse my language, but when it really like goes downhill, everybody is just they're gonna recognize just the the need to provide these things. I mean, what do we pay taxes for if not for getting ourselves out of situations like this? I mean, I don't, I have zero like interest in the international conflict in that sense. I mean, I care because I care what happens to other innocent people in other countries, and that matters. That matters a lot, especially when we as a state manufacture a ton of weapons, like tons of weapons, okay? Between BAE Systems and the gun manufacturers and gun accessory manufacturers, it's just like it's pretty wild. So, that stuff matters, but anybody who looks at our budget knows just how much money we sink into that, and that money could have, like, I mean, alone, alone, we had a $1.5 trillion injection of funds into the stock market, the like private sector, and it's, like that could have covered paying for college for everybody. You know what I mean? Like that could have covered free college. Um, that could have funded a huge chunk of Medicare for all just outright. So it's, like the thing is, like, we have the money. We just choose to not give it up, and nobody wants to deal with the nobody wants to ask the question, how do we pay for it when it comes to international wars, especially when you've got a situation like this. Like, why are we investing in weapons when we should have been investing in medical technology here at home to make sure that we were prepared for a situation like this one? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I think, for I think it was sort of it came up in the debate about whether or not, like how Italy has Medicare for all, and look how it went for them, and it's they didn't take quarantine measures. Like, it's not it was a political decision. It had nothing to do with their medical system, okay? Like, it is a mechanism to respond to the problem, but it is not the cause of the problem. If it's not, like, no matter what the state of it is, you can't blame it. It's like, it's like having a kid making a mess in a classroom and then having a janitor come in and clean it and then yell at the janitor for making the mess. Like, it just doesn't make sense. That might not be a perfect analogy, but that's sort of the first kind of thing that pops into my head when I think about it. That's bonkers. That's absolutely bonkers. So, alrighty, I tell you what, I'm gonna take a couple minutes here. I'm gonna try and just prep some things. I want to see how I want to see where we're at with the Senate. So I'm gonna sort of we're gonna pop to a bump screen for a second, and I'll be back in a moment, hopefully, to just sort of discuss, like, we'll watch some videos and go over that stuff. So I'll see you guys in a minute. Oh, okay, folks. So, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try and switch over to so there's Trump's holding a meeting with industry executives right now, that's being broadcast on NBC, and I'm going to see if there's any way to see if there's any way that I can get that up for everybody. They might ding me and take me down here, so we'll have to see what happens. I was really I was really hoping that there would be a little bit more activity in the Senate right now, so that we could sort of see what was happening with them there. But and then also we are waiting for the Senate leaders to pop out and sort of give their announcement. And I will actually tell you what, I'll just sort of throw that up there. So let's see here. This is here we do have this will be where the where Schumer and McConnell give their announcement. And then right now we have this, which is Trump talking to these execs. They're giving him a lot of bad news, and he's just sort of like brushing it right off, which is cool for him, I guess. I don't, it's like, this is nonsense. So let's see if I can just I'll pull up the audio we just listened in for a little bit, okay?
So that we can spool back
Hopefully
up.
you can retain them.
Hopefully
That's what we're shooting for. You want to retain them, you.
I think the issue with that, sorry to interrupt, Mark, Mr. President, is that when our owners are running 8-9%,
Yeah.
so they said we're shutting hotels. So all of those employees are being furloughed or laid off right now,
Right.
day by day.
It's happening.
Jim Murren's here somewhere, 80,000 people this week. We're tens of thousands because our
Man.
owners can't pay it.
Yeah.
And so
So that's the key issue that I was really making is the timing. It's happening instantaneously.
Okay.
one of the things we want to talk about is trying to create a fund for those people in order to stop that from happening.
What kind of a
because
fund would that be?
I think that would have to, in lieu of sort of unemployment insurance, it would be.
In terms of dollars?
I think the fund for that, probably our quarterly payroll for the industry is $45 billion in total. So that you can
Okay.
you can sort of scale
I
it
got
from
it.
there.
Yep,
Yeah.
I got it.
Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, thank you for your time.
Man, this is just
The CEO of Wyndham Destinations.
He's just
and
having a hard
we're in the
time
vacation
pulling this
ownership
kind of
and exchange
information
business,
into his
the world's
life right now.
largest company in that space. We employ 23,000 associates and take care of over 5 million households on vacation every year. Largely in the industry, it's about an $80 billion impact to the overall economy, and we employ directly 250,000 and another 250,000 through other small businesses that work well with our industry. To your point about a quick recovery, we purely serve a leisure customer, which means just like after 9/11, just after the 08-09, our customers will be back really quick as soon as we're on the other side. And we really believe our industry will recover quickly and be an accelerant back to the economy once we get to the other side.
I think so, too. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President. It's Jim Murren,
Hi,
the
Jim.
Chairman and CEO of MGM Resorts. It's good to see you all again, Mr. Secretary.
We couldn't get you a chair? What happened?
Well, we're in the spatial recognition world, but I just wanted to say, on behalf of MGM, we have made the decision around the country to close our resorts, and tomorrow night we will close all the resorts in
I'm
Las
sorry.
Vegas.
Can we
That's
just acknowledge
7,000
how
people we are
tight
now,
that room that they're in right
putting
now
on
is?
a
Like,
furlough. I want to
Come
retain
on,
those
man.
employees. I want to bring them back
This
as soon
is
as
just-
possible.
this is silly.
Las Vegas, as you know, will
Like-
come back rapidly once you
Like,
give
they're
us the
not
green
that
light,
far
but
apart
it's-
right now,
It's very
and
important that
yeah,
we
anyway, I
keep
was
these
just-
people on our
sorry,
payrolls
I'll-
as soon as possible. I also
I-
represent the 2 million jobs of the gaming
It's
industry in the
ridiculous.
United States. And as you know, many of those casinos are in cities that rely upon them for their tax revenue. So I appreciate your efforts, and I stand by to help you in any way I can.
Okay, we'll get it done, Jim.
Thank you.
We'll get it done.
I'm Richard Bates. I'm with Walt Disney Company, and today I'm here for the theme park.
Talked about as far as this third tranche of bills to go on until that, I mean, how long are you planning on giving people?
Well, all of that is things we're going to address in the next bill that we're beginning to write already. The details of that I can't tell you yet, but we know an additional bill of much larger proportions is necessary to meet this crisis. If we bend the healthcare curve, that will determine really how long this emergency lasts. And that has required extraordinary measures that basically have us in the unusual position of the American government, in effect, shutting down the American economy in order to meet these health concerns. If we can get on top of the health care concerns and bend the curve, we hope that this will be of limited duration. Yeah.
Are you saying that in creating these three task forces, you're not yet willing to say you're on board with any single element of the administration proposal so far?
What I'm telling you is we're going to take up and pass the House bill as soon as the Senate gives us permission to do it. Then Senate Republicans, in conjunction with the administration,
He's the leader.
are going to write a next bill. The Senate being the Senate, we will then discuss with the Democrats what we can agree to pass, which will, of course, take 60 votes. The details of that obviously have not been determined yet. Yeah.
How the administration is talking about as much as $1 trillion. Is the scope, in terms of the overall scope, does that sound like a reasonable level to you at this time?
The details will be worked out in the way that I just outlined. And so I can't give you an answer, particularly on a large question like that about what the overall cost of it would be. We haven't determined that yet. And obviously that final determination will be made in consultation with our Democratic colleagues here in the Senate. What I can tell you is we're not leaving town until we have constructed and passed another bill. Basically, phase 3 would be the best way to look at it. Yeah.
Senator McConnell, are any Democrats going to be on these three task force? And also, at what point do Republicans become comfortable in spending $1 trillion at this point?
I just said the first step is for Republicans to largely agree on what we think is the best way to address this emergency. And second, we will consult with our Democratic colleagues and see what we can agree to. That's the way we'll go forward here in the Senate. And we'll stay here until we do reach a bipartisan agreement and achieve at least 60 votes to pass it. Yeah.
Comment on the $1 trillion, the emotional.
Back in the back.
He just didn't like. He just did not answer that question. Just like.
What's the indication of what you're talking about? Timing?
For cash payments to Americans, that's something that's been talked about a lot. Do you have any idea when that would actually be in people's hands?
Well, anything that requires legislation will not be able to move until we pass legislation. There are things they can do on their own. Is that what you're talking about?
I believe so. There are policy proposals for tax rebates, and I'm just questioning if you have any idea when those are.
They'll do
Oh,
whatever
no.
they're allowed to do administratively as quickly as they can. The rest of it will require our permission legislatively. The first thing we're going to do is take up and pass the bill that came over from the House. And the second phase I outlined a couple of times already. And that's the way we're going to go forward, yes.
Mayor McConnell, can you address the,
Ugh.
the House bill when it passes? There still is a
This is
lag
so.
in repaying small businesses for the sick time for their employees.
God, he's just
Can you address the concern
really
about
good
time for small
at
businesses
giving it the
before
runaround.
you vote it up? And then once bill number 3, stimulus, gets through the
What a guy, Mitch.
that we're working on, are you considering then recessing the Senate for a significant period of time?
A number of my members think there are considerable shortcomings in the House bill. My counsel to them is to gag and vote for it anyway, even if they think it has some shortcomings, and to address those shortcomings in the bill that we're in the process of crafting. I cannot predict how long
Wow.
we will be here, but we'll be here as long as it takes to pass yet another measure
Interesting.
beyond the one that came over from the House.
And after that, do you
I'm surprised that they're,
I
yeah.
can't answer that, yeah.
Leader, we've been told that a number of Republicans, I guess on the Rules Committee are working on potentially voting from home. other
No,
measures
we'll
like
not,
hearings.
yeah, we'll not be doing that. Look, there are a number of different ways to avoid getting too many people together. Just to give you a hypothetical, it's not set in stone that a roll call vote goes on only for 15 minutes. We could lengthen the amount of the roll call vote. People could come over one at a time, come over in small groups. We will deal with a social distancing issue without fundamentally changing the Senate rules. Yeah.
People are still going to the supermarkets and seeing all this, so much uncertainty. What do you want to tell them?
Well, the way to indicate certainty is to get about doing what we're talking about, to see bipartisan, bicameral action. And that will happen on the House passed bill as soon as we can clear whatever procedural issues we have to clear to get it across the Senate floor and get it down to the president for signature. And then we're gonna move here in warp speed for the Senate, which almost never does anything quickly. I think everyone on both sides of the aisle is seized with the urgency of moving on yet another bill, and we intend to do that.
Senator McConnell.
Yeah.
Senator Paul is thinking with an amendment vote as part of the second House bill in order to let you move quickly. Will you give him an amendment vote?
He generally, well, you have to ask him, but usually he wants to offer an amendment to pay for these kind of bills. He's usually willing to let us have that vote and move on. I hope that'll be the case this time.
Oh, no.
Eventually, you're
Yeah.
going to have to make a deal with Senator Schumer and with
Yeah.
the Speaker, so just sort of wondering why not do that first.
I think the best way to proceed is the way I outlined. Then we'll have a clear
Of course he
indication of where
does.
most of the Republicans are, and we'll sit down and talk to our colleagues on the other side of the aisle and reach an agreement.
But is there an importance to send, a message about national unity?
Sure, and that'll be underscored by the overwhelming bipartisan vote of the House passed bill, and by ultimately an overwhelming bipartisan support for yet another bill which will originate in the Senate. Yeah.
McDonald, there's been discussions over the last year about the Tax Cut and Jobs Act.
Utter madness.
Corrections
Just,
made to it to help reach
Mitch.
small businesses, change the operating loss rules. Will those things come up during the course of this discussion? And might that make the same arguments come up over again about how bad the
This
tax
is-
cuts were?
Look, the goal here is to deal with this emergency created by this pandemic. And anything that doesn't address that pandemic, it seems to me, should not be considered. We're working on trying to deal with this public health crisis, which we are trying to bend the
But
curve
he's not
on
acknowledging how much he literally just
quickly.
politicized the
And
whole
anything that
thing.
addresses plugging that gap for small businesses and for individuals, hopefully on a short-term basis, because if the advice Dr. Fauci and others are giving us is followed, we hope we're going to begin to bend the curve and get back to normal, because the underlying economy
I like
before
how he
all this
keeps
came
saying
along
bend the
was
curve.
in
It's
very good
flatten the
shape.
curve. Come on.
Yeah.
That's my second question. Can you talk about the moment that Republicans became okay with spending perhaps up to $1 trillion? Is it the stock market? Is it
Yeah.
the health risk? Like, what shifted among the party in the past couple of weeks?
Well, I mean, I've been through a few of these. I was here at
Yeah.
9/11. I was here during the financial crisis in '08. I was here during the fiscal cliff. We occasionally
Yes,
have
get to
these
it.
great crises, and when they occur, we're able to rise above our normal partisanship and many times our normal positions. because these
AKA,
are not
we'll
ordinary
just
times.
abandon our
This is
positions
not an ordinary
blindly because
situation.
we know they're
And so
wrong
it
and they just.
requires extraordinary measures. Yeah.
Is there a role for Congress to play in helping these states
I-
that worry they don't have enough ICU beds, enough ventilators? Is this, spread becomes much worse?
All of that deals with the substance of measures that we are either about to pass or will pass soon, the contents of which, are being negotiated.
I mean, have you been satisfied with what states are getting from the federal government?
We're not satisfied with where we are, or we wouldn't be immediately turning to yet another bill. And we will be doing that shortly. I'm going to take one more because I think we're getting a little repetitive here. Yeah.
No, you're getting repetitive, Mitch.
Yeah, that's a good question. What I've said, you can't have 53 people write the bill, right? So what I've done is pick out groups of people to deal with 3 separate categories, and then I've told everyone else that if they have a really good idea, I've told them how to funnel that idea into that particular task force. Because this is a Herculean task from a legislative point of view to try to craft something this significant with 53 people. It just, can't be done. So everyone has a way to funnel in their particular suggestions to one of these 3 task forces.
Okay, and just so we're
These
clear, it
task
sounds like
forces
he's
will be working
developed
with the Treasury Department,
3 different
the
task
Secretary of
forces
Nation,
to
his
deal
team,
with
to see if we can reach
respective
a
portions of
Republican
this. Just
consensus. So we know where
we hopped
are.
into it a little bit
My
late.
understanding is Senator
I
Schumer
didn't get a
has laid
chance to
out
see the beginning of this,
exactly your
but yeah,
question where
at
they
any
are.
rate.
I'm in the process of crafting where we are, and then that's the logical time to sit down and make a deal. And that's what we intend to do, and we're going to do it before we leave here. In a sensible way. It doesn't make any, honestly, it's not particularly newsworthy. Yeah.
Is there like, people you can tell us, is there a point person for these 3 task forces, Senator whomever, or you can help clarify for us?
I think you're getting down too far into the weeds. Our goal today will be to try to move forward and take up and pass as soon as we can the bill that's come over from the House. And then you'll be hearing from us as we move along, crafting the measure that Republicans will largely be behind, and then we'll sit down with Senator Schumer. Thanks a lot.
Could that vote be as early as today, Mr. Leader?
So, I mean, he's this is he's really kind of not giving a whole lot here. And he essentially is saying that they're not going to really touch what the Democrats brought in, that they're going to do their own thing and they're going to come back, and that there's going to be all this bipartisan support. I mean, this is exactly the same nonsense that's been going on for I don't know how long. Yeah, look, we got a guy coming in and he's sanitizing this. Look at all these photographers. All these people just got to get in here. Got to take as many photos of this as possible. I mean,
just emailed his office saying that McConnell finished, and so I don't know when exactly, but I expect him very soon. I told him we need a few minutes. No, I knew you'd ask actually, so I changed them.
all right, so yeah, there's so that's going on there. This is going to be the dynamic that we're going to have to sit here at home and deal with when we watch any kind of news that's happening right now. Because honestly, none of this nonsense was ever going to stop. Okay, the political hand wringing here is just it's just going to continue, and it's in a lot of ways it really kind of reinforces the need for all of us on a local level here to be doing everything that we can to make sure that we control it ourselves, because we can't necessarily rely on these goobers to get it all done. Okay. Oh yeah. So we do have Schumer coming in now, so this is good. We'll be able to tune that in. Pull up the audio on that right now.
Okay.
Here's our man.
Thank you all for coming. We all know how serious this crisis is. We know it in our states. We know it with our families. My wife and daughter and daughter and daughter-in-law and grandson are all together in my house, each trying to work. People feel worried in a way that they never have in a very long time in this country. Having lived through 9/11, having lived through the crisis in the banking system in 2008, I think people are more worried about the future and their own health, their own economic viability today than they were in either of those crises. So we need to act, and we need to act quickly and strongly. We Democrats have proposed a big, bold, comprehensive package of what needs to be done right now. We are looking first at the medical needs. You can put all the money you want out into the economy, but unless you actually solve the problem and reduce the number of cases, the number of people ill, the number of deaths, none of that will matter. So first and foremost, we need much more bolstering on the medical side. Obviously, we need the testing to work, but we need much more than that. We need hospitals to be well prepared. They need equipment. They need masks. They need respirators. They need beds. We do not want to be in the situation like Italy where there was not enough medical care for the ill people. And this has to be done quickly, firmly, and strongly. And that is number one in our $750 billion package that we have proposed. If you don't solve the medical problems, you won't solve anything else. And there's the problem of the workers getting to the facilities when their kids are home from school, when mass transit is not functioning. How do the people who work in the hospitals, who work with the doctors, who work at the facilities that make the products, how do they get there? All of that needs to be done, and that is the first thing we do in our package. That is job number one, the medical needs. Second are people who are hurting. I think about, in my state, Broadway, and what do I think of? Not the people who can't go to the shows as much as they regret it. What about the people who collect the tickets, who clean the aisles, who work backstage, who are not working and not getting any income? We must do something for them quickly. We must bolster paid family leave, paid sick leave, and unemployment insurance so that the millions and millions of people who are not working and not getting a paycheck can get one. Third, we need to help small businesses. I've talked to countless small businesses in New York. They will go out of business in a couple of weeks if they don't get some help. Our proposal
That is a very real problem
mainlines
everywhere.
money into small businesses quickly. They need it. And we ask for forbearance. The federal government and the banks should not be able to foreclose on a house if you can't pay your mortgage. And we have asked that anything that's federally backed, student loans, mortgages, which are the vast percentage of mortgages, and small business loans, that there be a 6-month forbearance. They don't have to be collected. Finally, we believe we have to mobilize the National Guard to help. Who will feed and watch the kids of a medical worker who has to go to work? Who will make sure that food is delivered to an elderly person who can't go out? Who will make sure that kids get food who are not going to school and getting their school lunches? So we need to employ people to do that right away, but we also need to employ the National Guard. So our legislation, the $750 billion, which may not be enough, deals with the immediate needs, the people who are hurting for health reasons, the people who are hurting for economic reasons, that they've been laid off, they're not getting paid, they can't work because their kids are at home and they can't work. This is job number one: targeted, bold, quick, strong aid. And that is the most important thing we can do. And I think that is the contrast between us and our Republican friends. They're worried about the big businesses. They want to pump some money into the economy. But if you don't solve the immediate health care and economic needs of the people who are hurt, the problem will just get worse. And the airlines will be in worse shape, and the economy will be in worse shape. So we must do all of those things and do them quickly. Today I distributed a PowerPoint, which you all have, and a white paper, which is much more detailed than what I said. Oh, by the way, on hospitals, if we don't get help to our hospitals right away, the large hospitals may survive, although not as well. But medium-sized hospitals, small hospitals, rural hospitals will go under, they tell us, in a month or two. They need help right away as well. Can't have hospitals permanently closed. So the needs are immediate and strong, and our package addresses them. I haven't heard anything coming out of Secretary Mnuchin or the President to deal with these immediate issues. That's job number one. There are other jobs, and we will certainly look at them. In terms of pumping money into the economy, you can't do it without doing the things I mentioned. The things I mentioned come first. And it can't be a replacement for doing the things we're doing, or it'll be a Sisyphean task. It won't solve anything. And it should be very robust. Very robust.
Folks, looks like
And be able
just
to
wanted
be
to
repeated
I
time
just
after
caught
time
that
if it doesn't work at the beginning.
Harlow's is going to be open. As of 28 minutes ago, they posted a photo on their Facebook page, open for takeout from 4:30 p.m. to ? Says call after 6 p.m. Limited menu, limited staff. Please bear with us. School Street entrance only. They got boiled dinner, Irish bangers, soups and salads, sandwiches, burritos, quesadillas, and more. Quick update. Let's get back to this.
Not to doing the kinds of things that these companies have done, like buybacks.
It's talking
We
about
would
what
buybacks.
companies should be doing with their money.
We're also thinking that there should be, if they're going to get help, maybe their employees should get on the board
With their aid money, let me be clear. Government aid money, not their own money.
The government took stock when they gave money to the banks. Well, maybe that stock should go to the employees so they have some representation in these industries. We also want to, so we want to make sure, we want them to pay $15 minimum wage, and we want to make sure that they strict requirements, they keep workers in their jobs and not cut their benefits. The aid has to be workers first if we're going to help these industries, not what happened in 2008.
Where was this
and the workers and everybody else was left
in 2016
by the wayside? So our plan puts working people, average middle class families first. It puts the health of the country first, and then we will move on to other things. Senator Durbin. Yeah. Okay, one other thing, yes, left out. This should be a four corners negotiation with the White House. The plan that Leader McConnell laid out will only delay things. For the Republicans to first stick together and put together their plan, then work it out with the White House, and then come to us And then after that, go to the House. We'll just slow things down. I believe the best way to get this going is in a bipartisan way from the outset. We have our ideas, they have their ideas, but Leader McConnell, Speaker Pelosi, Leader McCarthy, myself, and the White House sit down and come to an agreement rather quickly. The plan Leader McConnell laid out will slow things down in a significant and dramatic way, and it doesn't start out in a bipartisan way, and above all, this should be bipartisan. Senator Durbin.
This is not just another political issue. We know it. It's a matter of life and death. And today in Illinois, we announced the first coronavirus fatality, a person who passed away while being hospitalized. I also learned from the Illinois Department of Public Health that there was some worry about a nursing home when a person came down with the coronavirus infection. And then they turned
We don't have to
around
keep
and
doing this.
tested
I'm gonna
every resident in the
pop out of
nursing
this
home
for
and every
now.
staff member.
So, yeah, I mean, this is like, you know, you just heard Schumer say it pretty much straight up, and that's that they just, you know, if it's done the way McConnell wants to do it, which is the way it's going to be done, because what choice does anybody have? It's just going to take longer, and everybody's going to have to, it's the political thing. Okay, that's just what they're going to do. So that's like, yeah, it's just kind of frustrating that's, you know, like, we're all sitting here, we're talking about what we're doing on the local level, the state level, the actions we are taking as a community to sort of get into dealing with the problem in a hands-on way. You know, we're in the middle, I'm cutting into actual, you know, with actual stuff about here's what our local restaurants are doing to make sure that they can stay in business, how you can support them and all that. You know, like, this is the stuff that we got to do. This is the stuff that we got to deal with. And you know, it's just not, you know, it's night and day looking at the difference between sort of like this federal level stuff and looking at the state level. I mean, you know, it's just, you know, Sununu just issues emergency orders and it's done. You know, like, this doesn't have to be, this doesn't have to be so complicated. And I mean, and it's like, it's incredible to me hearing Schumer spit out what was essentially Bernie Sanders' platform this entire election cycle, and the one before it too. It's a really weird time that we're living in, where this is like, you know, when I think about this, what I want to, you know, the thing my biggest takeaway right now is that we absolutely cannot forget about the lessons we're learning from this right now. We just can't. It would be dangerous for us to not remember how much we've all had to sort of come together at this time through this insanity to deal with this problem. You know, it's like, you know, the fire chief did a great job just covering everything. I know select board members are really just like, they are so worried and so committed to making sure that the town is getting what it needs. You know, we are very lucky that we have a lot of experts in their fields working in our town administration, and that there's, you know, a lot of them are, you know, they're not, you know, it's not just filled with old people. We've got really capable younger people in charge, that are really rising to the occasion and just getting into a 24-hour effort on this. It's a big deal. This is all a big deal. And I think if we all just sort of keep making sure to talk about what's going on in town, for anybody, I know it's 3:30 right now, so here in town. So if anybody, we're running out of daylight, but if you bop around town, take a drive. There's shamrock collecting. People have stuck them in their windows. You go around and count shamrocks. Okay, this is like, people are coming together in these public groups to really communicate and try and share and stay together. And that's super key. That's super key that's what we're doing right now. And I'm glad to see it. I'm really glad to see it. So we're gonna call it a day for now. I'm gonna sort of comb over some stuff. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. Like I said, not sure if I'll be up tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll be back up Thursday. If I'm not up tomorrow, but this, like I said, this will be a more regular thing. And hang in there, folks. Try not to go too crazy. Cooped up in the house, and as I said, I will record that video about how I do these streams, so folks can come in. There are also resources all over YouTube and online that you can check out that those will help you just as good as what I'll put together, maybe even better. And then you can go off and make your own tutorial videos of the cool things you do. And that's great. So with that, I think we're gonna, this is it's been real. I've enjoyed doing the stream today. And yeah, we'll see you folks soon. And take care.
It's sort of a feeling, I think, a melodic feeling, or just say a certain kind of a thing, to try to maybe show somebody something through music, even show myself something, because as I've discovered it myself, it's been a revelation to maybe reveal something to someone else through the music, something that's good and something that they feel that maybe enriches their life a little bit or makes them feel better as a person.